for Minnesota high school boys soccer, as the Brainerd Warriors will play our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Just a reminder, concession stands are open at the west end of the main bleacher area. Porta potties are available across the field for use as our plumbing is down to the west of the main bleachers. At this time, let's meet the starting lineups for both soccer clubs this evening. First, for the visitors on the scoreboard, the Warriors of Brainerd High School. Our first starter, number 2, Eli McConkey. Number 3, Sean Engelstead. Number 5, Colin Davis. Number 6, Nick Holmberg. Number 7, Adam Klecker. Number 9, Andrew Narlock. Number 14, Cruz Magazzini. Number 15, Kyle Duff. And number 19, Keaton Wakawiak. Number 29, Logan Carlson. And finally, double zeros, Calvin Stengram. The Warriors are coached by Mr. Tom Grasso, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Brainerd Warriors High School Boys Soccer Squad. And now let's meet the starting lineup for the home team on the scoreboard, our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Our first starter, number 1, Jacob Vanett. Number 2, Razik Al-Shamani. Number 4, Carter Johnson. Number 5, Ben Colburn. Number 7, Mohammed Namek. Number 8, Max Hodney. Number 9, Abdur Ahmed. Number 10, Ravar Keikos. Number 11, Mohammed Hussein. Number 12, Osama Alawai. And finally, number 21, Colin Baumgartner. The Spuds are coached by Mr. Ben Patry, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Moorhead High School Spuds Boys Soccer Squad. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, if you all please rise and direct your attention toward the east end of Jim Goda Stadium as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Let's play Minnesota High School Boys Soccer.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Boys Soccer tonight on Jim Goda Stadium. I'm Carter Kostoris, your play-by-play announcer, and on behalf of my crew here at Spuds TV, we welcome you for tonight's live stream. Again, if you joined us a little bit earlier, you heard that it was the Brainerd Warriors versus the Moorhead Spuds here, and we're just about ready to start the action. The Spuds come into this contest at 0-1-1. Their one loss coming to St. Michael Albertville and having tied Osseo before this. And the Brainerd Warriors come into this at 1-0, having defeated the Buffalo High School 4-3. So an interesting matchup here tonight as we get ready for the action. As we await the referee's whistle to begin the game now. We have the Moorhead B squad playing over at Horizon, and the JV played just before this, facing Brainerd and defeating them 2-1 through their two halves. Congratulations to them, as we hope our varsity team will do the same. As Brainerd will win back the face-off and move it up along their wing. Pass back to the defense, and defense kind of moving along themselves right now as that'll be passed up before Moorhead's going to intercept that pass before Brainerd takes it right back. Pass over to Holmberg's going to be intercepted by Moorhead before a defender will beat him to that. And a Moorhead kick will just go out of bounds, as that was Mohammed Namouk just trying to beat the Brainerd defender there on that close side corner. Throw in now by Carlson. Will bounce over McConkey as Moorhead's going to gain control of that before it goes out again, and Brainerd will get another throw in. Into play now. This is going to go up the right side. Pressure by two Moorhead defenders. As now some contact there between Holmberg, and a shot will go wide of the net and behind, as Vanette will get a goal kick here in the beginning minutes of our game. Pass up now to the middle, moved across over to the wing before an accidental kick out. Looked like a little bit of an off pass, caught his foot there weird as Alawi accidentally knocks it out. It was poked away from him, and Moorhead will get a throw in. And there's a foul on Brainerd, and Moorhead will gain possession at around the 30-yard line on the football field. Is this Johnson kicking it up now? Before a pass intended up for two of Moorhead's forwards will be intercepted. Move it on now before that's picked off by Al-Shamani. Moved over to Hodney. Hodney chip pass before that's knocked away by Narlock. Back to goaltender Stengram, who boots it in turn down to midfield. Colborne heading it. Hodney heads it over Holmberg. And that'll be moved up now along the wing. Pass back to Hodney. And that'll go out of play as Moorhead will throw it in. Al-Shamani throws it in. Namouk playing it over. And a nifty little move there by Keikos as it'll be moved to the right side. And I believe that will be ruled handball on Moorhead, so Brainerd will be opting to have their goaltender take the kick. And he will try to get Brainerd's offense kick-started here. Stengram's going to kick that out to just past midfield before that's headed back up by Colborne. There's another whistle. Didn't catch what that one was for, but Brainerd will get a kick here, as that's Cullen Davis that'll get Brainerd's kick. And a great defensive play by Moorhead keeps that from getting past them. Kept in play. Nice move there by Hussein. Move over to Hodney. Hodney back up to Hussein. Over to Hodney again. Those two working very well. And a pass will be moved up to Keikos. Keikos, the shot will ring off the crossbar. The post. And Stengram will recover nicely for a save. So Moorhead with 2 shots there in quick succession, putting pressure on early, just 4 minutes into this game. That's Baumgartner trying to head it back for his teammate before that's picked off by Klecker. Klecker driving on Colborn, keeping it in. For Colborn taps that one out and allows Moorhead to reset. And that's something you often wonder is more of a sometimes casual fan of soccer is why do they just kind of hit it out? But that's a great play like Colborn there to let his defense reset, especially when Brainerd was rushing up that wing. As a throw in by Brainerd will bounce back to Carlson, who's going to shoot it in the middle. And the shot by Klecker is just going to go to Jacob Vinette's right. And he will get another goal kick, his second to the night. And now the refs are, ruling that it will be a corner kick. And a Bell Bank corner kick, our first of the night, will belong to Brainerd. And looks like that was Colborn and Vinette both going for it, but Colborn ended up heading that away and no danger was, danger was averted. Moved over from Carlson over to the left wing. And that will chip out, and Moorhead will get a throw in along the right side. That's into Hodney. Hodney's attempted chip pass is going to be knocked away before eventually he'll get it back. Wheels it over to Hussein. Now with it is Colborn. That'll bounce away from him in a weird hop that hit about his heel before that's going to be sent down into Brainerd's defensive half. Going to get that is Narlock. Narlock pressured hard by Hussein before he moves that up. And that will be a foul on Brainerd, taking down the Moorhead striker. And so they will get a kick along the right side. Taking that will be Hodney, kicking it in with his left foot. And Stengram will move through a crowd of Brainerd and Moorhead players and field that out. Nice move across the middle. Brainerd with a couple tic-tac-toe passes here. Rushing it up, passing along to the left side. Chip back to the middle, intended for, Megazzini before Moorhead will boot that away. And a foul on Moorhead as Brainerd will get a kick at around the 24, 22-yard line on the football field. And a trick play there by Brainerd as a shot will come in and attempting to hit Klecker there, streaking behind Moorhead's defense, but just a little bit ahead of him, and that'll bounce away to Vinette's left, and he'll get another goal kick. Passed over now to Johnson, and the ref's whistles will come in here. And Brainerd will make a substitution as Nick Holmberg comes out, and Carlton Anderson comes in. Vinette now over to Johnson. Johnson over to the wing. That pass will be stolen, now taken by Brainerd. Brainerd moving it between them over to the center. Back to Carlson. Carlson taking his time, exploring options. That kick will be sent back way over to the left corner, but that'll be off target. And Moorhead defender is going to knock that up before a weird bounce will send it back to Brainerd. So a back and forth passes here is, speaking of which, a shot will go out and Moorhead will get possession right back. Throwing along the wing, intended for Hussein, will be knocked back out by Brainerd. And another throw in for Moorhead. That's over to Colborn. Colborn back to the wing. Hussein now back to Colborn. Moved on over to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani's pass will be picked off by Carlson. Carlson moves it up to Holmberg. Excuse me, not Holmberg. Klecker. And that'll be moved up as he's taken down. And Brainerd will get a kick right about the 30 on the football field. And it looks to be Kyle Duff taking the kick for the Brainerd Warriors. Duff's shot is going to go in. Off of Vanette's hands, and a great read by the goaltender. And he makes the first big save of the night. It was a well-placed shot by Duff that was headed right for bar down off the crossbar, but Vanette's going to read that one perfectly and go off of his hands, and he'll make the save. So now another Bell State Bank corner kick, again for Brainerd, as that'll go in before that's fielded by Colborne. But a winger's going to get a shot, and that'll go well above the net and to the side. And Moorhead will get a goal kick. Pass over to Johnson. Johnson with a nice move. Pass up to Colborne. Colborne over to the wing. Before that's taken away from him by Engelstead. And then kicked out by a Moorhead defender. And Brainerd will get a throw in. Throw in now, intended for Klecker before that bounces up for Moorhead. Is now streaking up the field is Keikos. Keikos with a nice move. Keikos is going to send it up again. Moving up the side here. It's a Moorhead winger before Hussein's going to head that in. A great save by Stengrim. Keeps this game tied at 0. Both goalies trying not to be outdone by each other at this point. As Stengrim makes a save, Vanette makes 2, and Stengrim shows him up down in his end. So scoreless game so far thanks to some great saves by the goalies early on. So now Johnson's going to move that across. And a nice move there along the wing before that's passed back to Hodney. Hodney is going to move that across. That's Al-Shamani trying to streak before Brainerd's going to knock that away. And up comes McConkey. He gets that taken away by Al-Shamani. Pass back to Johnson. Johnson over to the wing. That'll be Alawi. Moving up before that's going to go off of Brainerd midfielder and heading out off of Brainerd, so they will get a throw in. Colborne dribbling up the side now. And that's Keikos with a nice move around a Brainerd defender. He's going in not all alone, but it was him in a sea of white. As now Hodney will regroup. Pass it over to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani moves it over. And that's Namook moving it back to the middle before that's going to be knocked away by a defender. And Moorhead will tap it back. And now Brainerd is going to regroup, as that will be Narlock passing to his own goalie. Colburn blocks the pass from getting to Brainerd's Cruz Megazzini. However, it will go out of bounds, so Brainerd gets a throw in. Battle for it along the side now. And that's Colborne. Making a move around 2 Brainerd midfielders before that's going to go out. And Brainerd gets a throw in. And another substitution made as
number 6, Nick Holmberg, checks back into the ballgame for the Brainerd Warriors.
As you may have heard there, Nick Holmberg checks back in there for Sean Engelstad at the Brainerd Warriors, and play will continue along the far side. As that's Johnson, that's going to hit it back before a boot. It's going to be sent up and knocked down by Brainerd. With it now is Klecker. Klecker passes it back to Carlson, back to Klecker. And a good play by Johnson is going to knock Cruz Megazzini off the ball. And Vanette will have another goal kick with 26:40 remaining in this game, first quarter. Vanette trying to read the Brainerd defenders before his pass will go up. And they'll be knocked back in by Anderson, and a missed kick by Baumgartner. But no worries, says Vanette, as he scoops that one up. A throw in over to the side. They'll go to Alawi. Alawi's going to pass it up for Hussein. Hussein behind the defenders. He's in with the goalie. And Hussein scores! Moorhead with the first goal of the night at 26:04 left in the first half. Great play up on the wing there from Vanette to Alawi all the way back up to Hussein. And again, Moorhead's going to score and go up 1-0. As again, that was number 11, Mohammed Hussein.
Goal scored by number 11, Mohammed Hussein. Makes it 1-0 Moorhead.
As now Moorhead looks to keep up the pressure in this first half at least. It's a pretty good start to the game for actually both teams, with both getting some good pressure, but Moorhead finally getting the first goal. As now that's going to be moved back to Hussein, back to and over to Al-Shamani, who's going to move that back over to, Numuk. Pass back to Hodney, who's going to tap it back to Keikos. Keikos moving through a couple defenders. For Brainerd just boots that in the air. There'll be a Holmberg trying to pass it back over, but great keep in there along the wing by Alawi. That'll be Johnson stepping up, keeping it in pressure for Moorhead. Now Hodney regroups. He's going to pass it back over to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani back over to Colborne. Colborne through the legs of a defender, over to his winger. That'll be Keikos trying to hit it down low. And the ref's whistle will stop play, as I believe it was offsides as he went behind the defender. And so that will be Calvin Stengram, Brainerd's goaltender, taking the goal kick. Or rather, not a goal kick, but a re-kick from a spot where they judged he was offsides from. Now that'll be moved along midfield before Moorhead regains possession. Moved up from Hodney. Hodney's going to try to pass it back over to Al-Shamani. Excuse me. That will be Namuk, not Al-Shamani. He moves it back to Al-Shamani before that's tapped out by Brainerd, and Moorhead gets a throw in. We have two subs coming in here, as we have number 3, Sean Engelstead, going back in for Brainerd, for number 6, Nick Holmberg, and Spuds number 18, Lukeman Somain, comes in for Ben Colborne. Now here comes Moorhead's throw in. Al-Shamani exploring his options. And he'll throw that in over. Before that'll go off of Moorhead. And now Anderson is going to get a throw. Excuse me. Not Anderson, but Carlson is going to get a throw in for Brainerd as he launches it down before that's headed away by Al-Shamani. With it now is Magazzini. Is Baumgartner will make a nice kick up, and Hodney will recover and start Moorhead's rush. Al-Shamani is going to move it back over, as that's newly entered Somain. Passing it over to Hodney. Hodney to Hussein. Hussein attempted to go from Baumgartner, but Brainerd's going to pick that off. And Hatya is going to have to dribble it out of bounds, as some great pressure there by Al-Shamani is going to keep Brainerd from getting a 2-on-1. Now Al-Shamani, again looking over his options, just as he did in the other zone. Pass back over to Namuk, but that's going to be intercepted. And a pass intended for Holmberg will be booted away by Hodney. And Davis is going to hit it up to Hatya before Baumgartner will take away any more options for Brainerd. C passes to Al-Shamani, who boots it over to the side. And a couple of bounces, and eventually there will be a battle for it at around midfield. And Hodney's going to get that one. He's going to kick it up. But Stengram says not today and comes way out of his crease to hit that all the way up for his left winger. Couple of possession changes there as now Brainerd's going to take that. There's Klecker. Klecker's going to pass it up to Hatya. Hatya making a move. And Vanette coming out of his crease and holds on to it. As a good read by Vanette. Keeps Magazzini from getting a shot on net. As there goes a goal kick soaring into the sky. And a bounce getting around a couple Brainerd defenders before that's settled down by 2 headers from Moorhead. Pass over to the side now as Moorhead's going to boot that out. As the refs officially do say that Moorhead did kick that out. It did not bounce off of a defender. And now there is a substitution, I believe, as Elliot Funk will go in for Mohamed Namouk. And I apologize again, but it did go off of a Brainerd defender is what the ref's ruling is. So Moorhead will get a throw in. That'll be Stahlberger with a couple of moves before Brainerd will gain possession. We had a couple of sub-ins there that we may have missed, so I do apologize if I missed any. But Hondi's going to move it over to his wing. Before that, I'll bounce off of Brainerd defender Wakawiak. And Moorhead will gain possession. It's a couple of bouncing there as a Moorhead player ends up falling to the ground, and Brainerd boots it into their own player's face. Hatya with 2 defenders on, forwards on him. As Hodney's taken down, and Moorhead will get a kick at around the 26-yard line. That's the 30-yard line. Hodney's kick now. It's going to go off of his left foot, aiming for the right wing. And he will have about 2 Moorhead players there, but nothing will come out of it. He's going to take another shot, and Hodney's shot's going to sail up and to the left of the net. And now we have another substitution. As I believe that is Ali Ahmed that came in. I do apologize because we do not have his number on our sheet, but I believe that is Ali Ahmed going in for Moorhead. As Baumgartner's going to kick it up. And that'll be passed back over to Baumgartner, who moves it back up. And a couple of bouncing balls, and eventually Carlson will settle that and pass it over to Holmberg. Holmberg's going to move it over to Engelstad. Engelstad back up to Magazzini. Magazzini over to his wing. And a shot will go in on Vanette, and he will track that. And watch it as an effort by Carlton Anderson of Brainerd. Tries to keep it from going out of bounds, but eventually it won't bounce in his favor, and Moorhead will get a goal kick here with 18:15 remaining in the first half. Move over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to try to pass that up, but that's going to be picked off by Carlson. Carlson's pass is going to be knocked down by, I believe that is a Moorhead defender, and he will move that up. And a great streaking play by Justin Stahlberger before that's kicked out of bounds by Brainerd. And there will be a Bell State Bank corner kick in the far side corner for Moorhead, as that'll be Max Hodney taking that. And the corner kick's going to sail in off of Hodney's left foot. And a attempted far side shot, which is different from the strategy we saw last year. Last year, they brought in those big defenders that they had and attempted to use them to their advantage as they brought up Ben Colburn and a couple other, again, big and tall defenders in effort to try to just shoot it up and use their height advantage to try to score goals, and that worked out for them. But Moorhead, without a couple of those, as most of them were seniors and graduated, except for, as I mentioned before, Ben Colburn, and they're adapting what looks like relatively well to that strategy, as it almost worked out for them. For a couple of bounces, and Max Hodney will settle that out. That'll be taken away by Hatya as they'll battle for it. Hatya comes out with it, and a foul will be called on Moorhead, and the kick will be at about the 35-yard line on the football field. That'll be Duff lined up on the near side of the camera. So he awaits the ref's whistle to get going. And a kick is going to go in. And Vanette, reading that one's going to jump up and snag it. He passes it over to his winger, trying to get something kick-started right away. And a foul on Brainerd, I believe, as Moorhead's going to get a kick. And that was a yellow card given out to the Brainerd forward, as now he will be subbed out. That will be Andrew Narlock that got the yellow card, and his sub-in will be Ryan Westerberg.
Number 20, Ryan Westerberg, checked in for the Warriors. Also back into the match, number 3, Sean Engelstad.
As you may have heard there, Sean Engelstad checking back into the game also for Brainerd. As we await the signal to start going, as there it is given. And Johnson's kick's going to sail forward. Or tipped away by a Brainerd defender, and everybody will watch that roll out of bounds, as now Moorhead's going to get a throw in. And a throw over along the left wing is going to be knocked down by a Brainerd defender. As a jumping play by Funk's going to keep that forward, but eventually no Moorhead players there, and they'll be moved forward. And a battle for it is along the 35-yard line on the football field. Is that Somain moving over to the right side. And a shot on net will be handled by Stengrim. Stengrim's going to shoot that all the way up to Klecker, who's going to move that over to Anderson. Anderson keeping it in before Funk tries to knock it away, but Hatya will recover nicely, and the shot will go in. And Vanette makes his turn at a save. Vanette rolls it out to his right. And a pass will go intercepted by Brainerd's Sean Engelstad before a couple of bounces will end up having it returned to Moorhead. And now a pass over that ends up going between the referee's legs as Hodney's going to chip that forward. And a streak by Justin Stahlberger using his speed. And a play by the Brainerd defense. Some teamwork there between Cullen Davis and Ryan Westerberg will stop Stahlberger and his forward crew from getting a chance. As now Stengrim is going to take a kick. Kick's going to go all the way up, and that'll be Klecker that knocks it back, or tried to knock it back to his defense. Before that is moved over to Funk, who in turn moves it over to the forward left winger. And the ref's whistle will sound as Brainerd will get a kick. And Hodney's going to kick that over for a couple of moves, and Brainerd's going to move that forward to McConkey, and they both watch as the ball goes out. I do apologize. I accidentally called the number 22 on the field Ali Ahmed. However, it is Abel Brewster is number 22 on the field, as he was subbed in about 10 minutes ago into the game. So I do apologize for missaying that name, but It has been corrected. Throw in now for Moorhead. It's going to intended for either Stahlberger or Hussein. Before that'll be Moorhead forward. Kicking that before that's taken away from him. And some contact there between Elliot Funk and Charlie Pikula. And Brainerd's going to get a kick. Taking that was Duff. Duff up to Klecker. Back to Klecker. Shipping it up, intended for Hatya, but that's going to be moved back, and Carlson's going to head that up. Good play along the wing with a couple tic-tac-toe passes, and Hatya's going to end up with that. He's going to pass it back over to Klecker. Klecker tries to get it behind Moorhead, and some great footwork there, as you saw, from Brainerd with about 6 or 7 tic-tac-toe passes. And you've seen that 2 or 3 times in this game. And you may have seen before, too, where they were working on footwork and cone drills in their own end as they were prepping for the game. So, as you can see here on the game, it is a very heavy part of their game plan to use their footwork and their, I suppose, foot-eye coordination as much as they can. Funk's pass is going to be deflected off. A Brainerd attacker is now high, is going to pressure him, and Moorhead's going to kick that out. Pikula is going to throw that in. And that will be, I believe, a penalty kick. For Brainerd, as he was taken down inside the goal crease, as Vanette is going to be tested in the highest capacity that he's had to face so far, as he's going to attempt to keep this game the way it is. There'll be Adam Klecker, who's one of the captains for the team, that'll end up taking the shot. As the ref explains the rules to both Klecker and Vanette, as they both know what it is and they're both preparing for it. And Klecker's shot is going to go in to Jacob Vanette's left as he placed it in about the one corner that he could not quite get to, as that'll roll just a bit past his hands. And it'll end up going in, and we now have a tie game with just over 11 minutes remaining. The score stands at Moorhead 1, Brainerd 1 on your Northwest Wine scoreboard. Northwest Blinds scoreboard.
Penalty kick by the Brainerd Warriors ties the match at 1 apiece.
And that penalty kick again was by Adam Klecker. So no assists on that one, as Hussein will hit it back to Colborne. Colborne's going to move it along the wing. That's to Keikos, back to Colborne. And a good settle down by Justin Stahlberger, as it'll end up bouncing off Alawi's foot, and Brainerd will get a throw in. Is a juke along the side there, and a throw into Klecker. Klecker's going to move it up along the wing, and racing for that is Eli McConkey, but he can't get to that in time, and Vanette will have a goal kick. So he kicks that over to Johnson. Johnson's going to move that up and over to his wing. Brainerd's going to knock that one down. Pass over to Carlson. Carlson's going to boot it in. That'll be McConkey looking after it. But Johnson boxing him out. And a shot will hit the side of the net. It's a great play there by Carter Johnson. Stops both a shot and any attempt at keeping it in, as he blocks himself between the ball and Eli McConkey, as Vanette will send that up as a result of Johnson's hard work. A boot pass up now by Brainerd Warrior defender is going to be intercepted by Moorhead, moved up to the side before knocked back out again by Brainerd. That will be Logan Carlson knocking that out, who is also a captain alongside Klecker. The two other captains on the team are Andrew Narlock, who is number 9, and Cruz Magazzini, who is number 14. Throw in now by Funk. And they'll be kicked way into the sky and out of play as Moorhead will get another throw in just inside the offensive part of the 50. Funk's throw in intended for Hussein's going to be blocked off. But Hodney will end up receiving the block. And again, Brainerd's going to tap that out of bounds. We are now under 10 minutes remaining here in the first half. And the score still stands at 1-0 on your Northwest Blinds scoreboard. Excuse me, 1-1.
Entering the match for the Brainerd Warriors, number 14.
That'll be Carlson throwing it in. And a couple of moves there as Colburn will defend on McConkey, and eventually that'll go out off of him. Brainerd will get another throw in here in their offensive zone. That'll be Carlson taking the throw in. He's going to move it in for Megazzini, but that'll bounce off of him, and Colburn watches that bounce out. Funk throwing it in. He's going to pass it over to Namook. And that'll bounce off of his head. Now Brainerd's going to race for that and try to keep it in, but they will not be able to. There's a little bit of confusion there, it seemed, as to who was taking the throw in. Now Funk's going to throw that into Hodney. Before McConkey and Funk will both knock at that, and that'll take a weird bounce and end up being settled around the 35-yard line here. Hodney with a move around the Brainerd defender. He's going to streak in, pass it to Hussein. Hussein moving through a couple of people. Moving that to Keikos. Keikos over to his wing. Back to Keikos. Forward to, Hussein. And Hodney with it now in the middle before he passes that back to Colborn. Colborn moving it over to Funk. Funk does a nice little 360 with the ball. He's going to try to tap it back over to the middle, but nobody's there, and Brainerd's going to knock that away. Colborn attempting to regroup now, moves it up along the side to Stahlberger. Stahlberger's pass is going to go sideways as Brainerd heads that twice and moves it up the field for McConkey. Before Hodney beats out McConkey to the ball, and now Funk is with it. Funk looked to be either trying to hit Hussein or Namook, but both just went out of reach. As now Carlson's going to get a throw in along the close side. And Moorhead will head that out of bounds again. Carlson taking another throw in, so both teams with their designated throw in players for each side, as the near side looks to be Logan Carlson for Brainerd and Elliot Funk for Moorhead. As now that's going to be moved back over and hit back up for Hussein. But that'll be defended well by Brainerd's number 20, Ryan Westerberg. Throw in now for Alawi. And you saw there Ahmed coming back in for Stahlberger.
Back into the sports match for Moorhead. Once again, we have 5:43 remaining in the first half. Concession stands once again are open on the
and that'll bounce off of Brainerd. And Moorhead will get a throw in just farther down into the offensive zone this time. And Brainerd just wasting time here as they try to get a throw in that they know they can field and pass back up. There's now another throw in by Alawi. It's going to bounce off of Hussein's knee. And that'll be Westerberg hitting that up. Intended for Klecker, but intercepted by Moorhead. And Klecker will end up getting it back as he steals it from a Moorhead attacker. And a couple of bounces will make it go off of Moorhead, and Klecker will get a throw in here. As we are under 5 minutes here in the first half, the score still stands at 1-1. As a quick little scoring recap, Hussein scores Moorhead's only goal, and Klecker scored the only goal for Brainerd off of a penalty kick so far. Good game so far for both teams as They hope to break the tie, but again, Moorhead with that 1-1 tie. They would not like to tie 1-1 or even 2-2 again, so you can expect them to maybe be aggressive coming out here in the second half. And that'll be passed for Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to move it over to his goalie, Vanette. And Vanette's just going to take a shot at that and move it up. And a great redirection there by Keikos. But now Carlson's going to have that one. Pressure by Hussein. He's going to move it up. And that'll be moved on over to Piccola. And his shot's going to go in. And Vanette has a save here with 4 minutes remaining. He'll roll it out to his right side to Alawi. Alawi's going to pass that up to Hussein. Before it goes out off of, the rest will rule it off of Brainerd, so Moorhead will get a throw in. Alawi looking for options. He's just going to toss it in about 5 yards to Colborne. Moved on over to Hodney, but it'll go between his legs, and Funk will get that one. That'll be passed to Namook along the side. There's a chip shot to the far side for Hussein. He'll settle that down to move it up forward. Before Brainerd will take a chip shot and attempt to regroup and both get it out of the zone at the same time. As now Moorhead's going to get a throw in, and that'll go to Colborne. Colborne takes a rocket of a shot, but it'll just go between the football uprights as he misses the net by about 3 or 4 feet. And Stengrim will get a goal kick. So Moorhead with some pretty good pressure here over the last 2 minutes, as they so far have been unable to crack Stengrim and his defense besides the 1 goal given by Hussein earlier. As Keikos is going to pass that over to Hodney. Hodney's going to move it up to Hussein. Hussein over to the wing to Funk. Funk's going to hit that in, and Stahlberger, not Stahlberger, Alawi will just overshoot that one by just a little bit, as that was a great setup. And now Stengrim will get a goal kick. He's going to boot that up. Colburn's going to head that forward. Hussein with a little bit of a break. Hussein looking for 2. His shot's going to go in the upper left. He's got 2 on the night. That was Hussein from Bent Colborne, who headed a perfect pass from Stengrim. And Hussein has 2 goals on the night in the first half, as the Spuds go up 2-1 on your Northwest Blind scoreboard with 1:49 left in the first half. That was just a great all-around play from Moorhead there, with Colborne reading the pass and Hussein using a burst of speed and an elite shot to go into the top left corner. Barely missed the crossbar, maybe even skimmed it in about a foot to 2 feet off of the left post. There's no chance for Stengrim to get that one. That'll be Hodney dribbling along the side, as I believe that is a handball called on Moorhead. And the ball will be placed a little bit more forward. Shouldn't say a little bit. It comes all the way from the goal up to about the 40 on the football field. As now a shot's going to go up the middle.
1 minute remaining in the first half of play.
As you just heard there, 1 minute remaining, as Brainerd's going to look to play this aggressively because they do not want to go into the second half down by 1. As now that'll be intended for Engelstead, but Moorhead's going to hit that up, and Hussein. A couple of headers going off here between about 2 or 3 players, and Hodney's going to boot that off over to the side. And you saw almost a flip of roles as Moorhead was in the offensive zone with about 5 minutes left, and that's all that Brainerd seemed to be doing, was just tapping it out and regrouping and just kind of wasting time. But Moorhead reversing roles as a pass by Hodney is going to go up along the left side. Before a pass will go off to the near side with about 15 seconds left as Moorhead's hurrying up. Passed in by Namook to Funk. Funk's going to pass to Namook again. Namook trying to get a shot off. And a great play with about 2 seconds left on the clock as his shot's going to go between the football uprights as well. And that concludes our first half of play as it stands on the Northwest Blinds scoreboard. Your Moorhead Spuds 2, Brainerd Warriors 1.
Halftime intermission, once again concession.
Pam is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise, but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and backdragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss Snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Before I became a real boy, life was easy. I just sat there doing sandwich stuff. But being alive is so hard. So if you don't want to get up to get a sandwich, you shouldn't have to.
Revive Professional Massage Therapy Clinic. Locally owned and operated. Open 7 days a week, day, evening, and same-day appointments available. Couples massages also available. 20 highly trained professional licensed massage therapists on staff. Now with 2 locations, South Fargo and Detroit Lakes. Offering online booking and online gift certificates. www.reviveprofessionalmassage.com.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
Minnesota High School Boys Soccer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to tonight's broadcast on Spuds TV of Boys Soccer. On Spuds TV, again, brought to you by Muscatel Subaru. The score right now stands at 2-1 Moorhead as they lead over the Brainerd Warriors here in the start of the second half. And quick scoring recap is Moorhead struck first with a little over 12 and a half minutes remaining when Hussein scored on a goal from assist of Alawi, and actually Jacob Vanette passed it out to Alawi along the side there, so a goalie assist. Brainerd scored right back on a penalty kick in the penalty area, and so Klecker got a goal unassisted and even the score at 1-1. Then with 4 seconds left, Hussein got his second to the game on an assist from Ben Colborne and made it, as the score is right now, at 2-1. As now, again, they have flipped sides, so for you viewers at home watching, Moorhead will be going to the right of your screen and Brainerd will be going to the left. As that'll be knocked out there by Ryan Westerberg. And Moorhead's going to get a throw-in. That's Elliot Funk along the far side with ready for the throw-in. Considering options before he'll try to throw it in for Stahlberger. And a couple of weird bounces. Eventually it'll settle down. As that'll be Stahlberger passing over to the far side. That's Alshamani's going to get that pass stolen from him. Moved up along the side, intended for Megazzini, and he'll end up getting that. That'll be passed to Klecker. Klecker's going to move it to Hatya. Back to Klecker. That shot will glance off of a Moorhead defender and go out, as that was Lukman Somain bouncing off of him. And a corner kick coming up now for Brainerd, as it'll be Kyle Duff, who has done most of their kicking on fouls in the center. He'll take that corner kick too on Jacob Vanette's right side. Both teams setting up now. The kick comes in. And a good defense there by Moorhead's Justin Stahlberger as he heads that away. And Brainerd regroups around the 20-yard line of the football field. They'll be passed back in the middle over to Larson. Larson with a couple of moves, and they'll be knocked down by Moorhead. Moved up from Colborne. Before it's headed back in, some back and forth action here. That'll be Colborne passing it back over. Before that's intercepted. And a nice move there from Wakowiak as now Hatya has it. And a whistle, I believe, will stop play, as Vanette was ready for the save there anyway. Kick coming up for Johnson now as he's going to move it over to Alshamani. Alshamani tries to move it back to Johnson, pressured heavy by Brainerd. Couple of back and forth kicks here as now that'll be settled down by Brainerd, and they'll pass it back to their defense. Moving it up is Davis before that's picked off by Funk. Funk will go through a defender's legs. Tap back from one of his own players, and Klecker will end up with that as he moves the pass just ahead of Larson. And Moorhead will get a throw in. Funk now on the throw in. Intended for Stahlberger. And again, that'll go off of, the refs will rule it off of Moorhead, and Brainerd will get a throw in, as the ref saw it as going off of Justin Stahlberger's chest rather than the Brainerd defender he was with. Brainerd heading it up, and Moorhead's going to just boot that out of play as they didn't feel completely set up there. So, as you're seeing, some great defensive heads-up plays already, as we're just over halfway through this game. As the throw in now is going to be headed up, and Moorhead's going to knock that away. Klecker will win that toss-up as he can move it back to his defense, who, again, moves it back. Pass is going to be moved up, and now Klecker's going to get that back, stopping it from going out, and he ends up doing that. Klecker to the middle, and that shot by Duff will go to the side of the net, as Vanette started to track it, then realized it was missing and let that one go by. Now a couple of passes now as Alshamani will have it, and barely keeping it in, as a weird spin will put him into a little bit of a panic attack. Now that's Baumgartner. Moved up along the side to Somain. Somain over to Funk. Funk back to the middle to Colborne before he's taken off of it. And a great pass up here. As now that's Megazzini before he'll go down, but no call is made, and Keikos will have that bounce off of him. Before that's a foul, and we await the ref's official call. And Brainerd's Kyle Duff will get a kick just outside of the large goalkeeper's box. Moorhead lining up with their defensive positions, and Brainerd as well getting in ready with, if you notice there, they have a player along the wing. Duff's shot's going to go between the uprights. He made almost a field goal there from about 30 yards out. As you can see, obviously it's a strong kick as that bounces all the way through the field house back there. As Venett will make a save on a shot from his left. Running out for options. He'll boot that up. High spiraling shot. And that'll go out off of Brainerd, is what the refs rule. And so up comes Al-Shamani for a throw-in. Al-Shamani over to Semaine. Moved up now to Stahlberger. He's going to try to make a couple of moves before that's going to go out. And they're going to rule it going off of Moorhead. So here comes Brainerd back with their own throw-in. And Wakuwiak's going to throw that in. And a couple of bounces, and Moorhead's Al-Shamani's going to get that back. Brainerd settling that down, trying to move it up. And that's Ahmed putting some pressure there on Brainerd's defense as Brainerd will, Brainerd will eventually hit that one out. And Moorhead will get a throw in. And that is Al-Shamani here throwing it in to Somain. Somain up along the sides before he's knocked off the ball. Before Justin's going to steal that, pass over to Ahmed. Back to Keikos. Keikos using his speed. But nothing will end up coming out of that as Al-Shamani's going to knock it down using his foot and shoulder over to Ahmed before that's going to be knocked away. Stahlberger looking for options as he tries to pass it up along the side to Ahmed. But that'll end up going awry. And Wakuwiak's going to throw that in. Moorhead with a throw in there after a couple of weird bounces, including off of a foot and a chest. As now Al-Shamani's going to throw that in. Stahlberger back to Al-Shamani. And a nice move between Klecker's legs. But nothing will come out of it. As Somain's going to go back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to move it up along the side to Funk. Funk with a nice move. And Funk will get it back as that goes off of Brainerd. And a throw in over to Colborne. Colborne's going to move it over to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani's going to move it up to Ahmed. Back to Al-Shamani, but he'll just miss that. It goes, goes between his legs. As now Wakuwiak's going to move that up. Chipped over from Magazine to Hatya. And a great play by Carter Johnson will halt play as it is right now. And it bounces off of Brainerd. And Moorhead turns around quickly onto the attack. Keikos almost surprising the Brainerd defender there as he's going to get that. Looking for an option. The nice move. And a great defensive play there. And it'll end up going off of Kyle Duff. And Moorhead will get a throw in. Keikos with a nice drive there, but met with just as stiff a resistance on defense by Kyle Duff. Stahlberger's going to chip it back off of a Brainerd defender's leg. As now a whistle, it's a foul will be called against Moorhead. And Klecker going a little bit too quickly there for the ref's liking, so he'll blow it dead, allowing Moorhead time to reset. And you saw visible frustration on his face as he realized he did that not to the ref's liking. So Kyle Duff will instead take that kick. Duff's going to nail that shot going up along the left side. And as I mentioned just before, where I jokingly said that he made a 30-yard field goal, he just kicked it about maybe 40, 50 yards there along the left side, and he got it up for, well, just past his teammate. So that gives me an idea of how strong of a kicker he is and why Brainerd uses him so much on those kick-ins and the setup type of guy. And now some contact along the ball, and Coburn's going to come away with that, passing over to Ahmed. Ahmed's going to try to bounce it off a defender's foot, but that doesn't work out. And that'll go off of Brainerd, and Moorhead will get another throw in as Al-Shamani sets up along the side. Looking for options before he'll throw that up to Stahlberger. Stahlberger's going to get that. He's going to try to pass it up to Ahmed. Ahmed beating out a defender before he's taken down by a Brainerd defender as we await the call. As they're debating about whether he was in the penalty area or not. I mistakenly called that the crease earlier in this. As we wait to see whether or not Ahmed will get a shot, as he rules it just outside of the area. So instead, Hodney will get a shot from a very awkward angle for Stengrim to line up on. And a hook shot's going to go in, and that'll go in off of Stengrim's hands. Max Hodney's shot on a well-played ball by Ahmed. Ahmed may not get the credit for the assist on that one, but he sure deserves it as his hard work lets Hodney lace a left hook shot for the upper crossbar that went just off of Stengrim's fingertips. And your Spuds now lead on the Northwest Blind scoreboard 3-1 with 29 minutes left to go in the second half. As now a foul will be called on Moorhead. And a yellow card is going to be handed out to Moorhead's number 2, number 7, Mohammed Namouk. Now going in is number 16, Abdizamak Ibrahim, as he will line up along the right side of the Brainerd attack, the far side of your screen. Duff waiting to get the kick underway, and he gets the whistle to do so. And a hard shot, and that will go between the uprights too from the 30-yard line. I keep saying it, but you see again and again why they use him as their main kick guy and setup guy, is that he is just nailing while he is going high. That just shows you the strength that he managed to make it from 40 yards out between the football uprights. Not even just barely missing the soccer. He made it between the uprights of the football field. As now that'll be Hodney with it. He moves it up along the left side for Ibrahim. And that'll chip off of him, or it'll be ruled out before he ended up hitting that out. And now Brainerd's going to move that up. That was intended for Magazzini. However, that's going to be bounced a couple times, and Moorhead will settle that down as Baumgartner's going to take a shot off of Magazzini's legs before Johnson gets there and clears it down to Stahlberger. Ibrahim trying to streak for it. And Brainerd's going to end up hitting that out as Elliot Funk takes the throw in along the far side with 27:30 remaining here. So you can hear the vocal student section here at Moorhead High getting into the game. And coming in there at number 22 is Abel Brewster. That'll be moved back over to Brewster. Brewster's going to hit Colburn. Colburn's going to tap it back for Baumgartner. Baumgartner ready along the far side. Pass back to Colburn. Colburn going to move around 3 Brainerd attackers. Trying to chip around a fourth, but he is pressured hard by Klecker. And he'll end up getting through about 5 people And a pass to Ahmed's going to be picked off. And Johnson's going to miss that. And in comes Brainerd. They have a shot. Off of Vanette's fingertips and off of the post. And the score stays at 3-1 as everybody in the stadium collectively held their breath as they waited to see the results of that. As Vanette breathed a sigh of relief as he didn't quite get all of it, but it ends up going off of his post, so he can thank his left pole for that save. As now he's going to take a goal kick. That's passed back up now. Now Brainerd's going to settle that down. That's Klecker. Klecker's going to get a shot before a defender sacrifices their body. And Moorhead will gain possession of it. Al-Shamani's going to chip that up, intended for Hussein. Hussein with a burst of speed. Moving up along the side. He's looking for 3. Behind the back move, and he's taken down, and that goes out on Brainerd. There's a great defensive play there by a Brainerd Warrior. Prevents Hussein from getting a hat trick tonight. And that'll go off ahead of another Brainerd defender. And another throw-in will be given to Moorhead. That's to Ahmed. And that'll go behind the net off of his foot. And so Calvin Stengrim will get a kick from his box. That pass is going to be booted up before Klecker is going to hit that all the way up for his teammate Magazzini before that's knocked down by a Moorhead player as they land on top of one another. And that ball will be kicked all the way into the stands. And the clock is stopped at about 24:25 as there is an injury, looks to be, on the field. That is Adam Klecker. We have said his name a bunch tonight, so Brainerd will definitely be hurting if he does end up staying out of this game. Again, he is a captain of this team, and as I mentioned before, I've said his name 10, 15 times tonight, so as we await, we have a trainer attending to him right now, and
back in the match for Moorhead, number
we will see the results and how Brainerd adapts to having one of their players gone. As now that'll be Carlson hitting it up. Here's Al-Shamani trying to watch it go out before he'll hit that up, and that'll go off of a Brainerd defender's legs. That was Kyle Duff accidentally knocking it out. That'll be passed into Hodney. Now a couple of bounces, and that'll go off of Brainerd, it'll be ruled. And a throw in by Moorhead is going to be knocked down by Brainerd. And a jumping play by both Alawi and Wakawiak, as that'll end up being a Brainerd kick. And again, Kyle Duff taking that for Brainerd. And he'll just play that safe and pass it over to Carlson. Carlson's chip shot will go on net, and Vanette runs out to save that one. And a kick by Vanette's going to sail over the 50-yard line there on the football field before that's fielded down by 2 different Brainerd players. Over from Alawi to Hussein with Hodney in between. Hodney back over to Alawi. Back over to Hodney, back to Hussein. As a foul is going to be called on Andrew Narlock of Brainerd. And the ball will be spotted at about the 47-yard line on the football field. You can see those hashes down there. And Carter Johnson's going to take this kick as they send Max Hodney forward. And the kick's going to sail in on net as it goes towards that conglomerate of players down there and eventually be settled down and glance off of a Brainerd defender before that's knocked out of bounds. And Moorhead gets a throw-in along the side there. Taking that throw-in will be Osama Alawi. That'll be thrown in. A nifty play there by a Moorhead attacker. Before that'll be moved by another Moorhead attacker, excuse me. And Moorhead will get a throw in. Throw in by Brainerd now as that'll bounce up to Hatya, excuse me. Before Hodney will settle that down and move it over to Funk. Funk's going to move it up along the side. His pass is going to go for Hussein. And a defensive play there will boot the ball all the way over to the far side parking lot as it bounces off of the Sports Center in a play by Brainerd to get ready on defense. Throw in there. I am at a loss for words as to what that play was, as he kicked it between the legs of a Brainerd defender, then sat on the ball. As now the ball will be moved into Moorhead's defensive zone as they get a throw in at about the 40-yard line on the football field. Moved over now to Brainerd's attacker, Carlson, who's going to pass it up to Magazzini. He'll chip that around a defender. Shot in nowhere near the net. And Vanette watches that as it bounces back on the track. He rolls it over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to move that on up. And a great play there along the wing. As now Hussein going to move that up to Ali. And Brewster's kick is going to be fielded by Brainerd defender. That'll be Carlson along the side. Here comes Colborn. Colborn's going to move it up to Brewster before that's taken away from him. A bad bounce there is that'll be Johnson that ends up with it before he's hit by a Brainerd defender. Excuse me, I should say knocked off the ball by a Brainerd defender. And now that will be Osama Alawi with a kick from their own end. Alawi's going to boot that off to about the center left side. And Colburn's going to end up fielding a redirect. He's going to hit it up to Hussein. Hussein back over to Brewster. Brewster through the legs, intended for Hodney, but fielded instead by Anderson, who's going to kick it all the way back to Baumgartner. Funk, Hodney, back to Funk. And a kick will just go off to the side as Brainerd will get a throw in. That throw is going to be intercepted by Moorhead after a weird bounce. Now that's Alawi. Tried to do a tap back pass with Colborn, but it ended up not working out in their favor, and it just skips past him. Magazzini over to Hatya now. Hatya looking for a shot. But in comes Johnson, and he'll end up knocking that away. He's going to hit that one all the way up, and Hussein's going to have that one. And that'll just bounce away from him as Davis was defending him quite well. As Hussein will just redirect a shot out of bounds with about 18 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in this game. We are over halfway through this half. And the score still stands at 3-1. As Moorhead will get a throw in along the near side here.
After the soccer match for Moorhead, number 10. Rebar Keikos, number 2, Razik Al-Shamani. And number 18, Lukman Samain.
As you just heard there, Lukman Samain, Al-Shamani, and Keikos all enter back into the game for Moorhead. And here's Hussein, who's going to tap it back to Alawi. Alawi's going to hit it all the way back before that's sent way up by Al-Shamani. And no chance at playing that as that skips past Alawi. Now for the throw in here is Brainerd. Throwing it along the side to Duff. Duff's going to kick it up before that's intercepted by Hodney, who's going to try to tap it over, and a bad bounce off of Alawi's foot will let Brainerd get a throw in. And a couple of changing possessions, and now Duff is going to get that one. He tries to go between two defenders, but squeeze or a pinch there by Moorhead. And now Brainerd's controlling the ball at about the 30, trying to chip it in on net, but Vanette's going to play aggressive on that one and go grab it. That's going to be rolled out along to Vanette's left side and out of bounds as it just skips past his left side winger there. And now a pass intended for Hussein is going to be fielded very well by Narlock as he'll hit that up to his forward. But another spinning ball will send it out of bounds for a Moorhead throw-in. Now here comes Alawi. Alawi's going to throw it in. Intended for Ali, but that'll go out of bounds off of Narlock. And that's thrown in there by Alawi. Tap back to him by Hussein. Passing it up is now McConkey. Magazzini. Moorhead stealing control of that at exactly midfield. Moved over to Hussein. Hussein's shot's going to go to the side. And that's going to be kept in just along the side. And Moorhead's going to get a throw in. As a great effort there by the Moorhead attacker. I believe that was Ibrahim along that side there. As a little bit of contact there between Moorhead and Brainerd as the ref will rule a dead ball. And Brainerd will get a kick out of that. And that'll be sent up and knocked off to the side. Where Magazzini and Alawi will both go up for it, but Alawi wins that and we'll get it back to his defenders. That shot up, and now a hard shot will bounce off of a defender and go out of bounds. And Moorhead will get a throw in as we have a sub in. As Keating Keeping comes in along the side. And he'll take throw-in duties.
Entering the match, scoreboard number 17, Elliot Funk.
Now that'll go out of bounds along the side, and the refs will rule that out of bounds on Moorhead. But they will steal it back anyways. As now that'll be moved back up, and Hussein's taken down. And a kick will be awarded to Moorhead. As that'll be Max Hodney taking it right at about the 45-yard line there on the football field. As the refs are sorting something out with a Brainerd defender down there, as maybe he was lined up in the wrong spot, but it's all sorted out now as Hodney's given the okay to go. As he passes that over to Keeping. Keeping's pass is just going to bounce off of his left foot. And that's over to Magazzini. Magazzini to McConkey, back to Magazzini. Slowing it down a little bit. That's going to pass it over to Wakuwiak. Wakuwiak trying to look for an angle, but some great defense there by Keeping. And no, it will not go. A great effort there by everybody from Moorhead. From both Baumgartner and Vanette, as it went off of Vanette's hands off the crossbar and then kicked back into a Moorhead defender. And the score again will stay at 3-1 with the Spuds still ahead. So again, some great action in this game, and obviously both teams neither want to lose, but Moorhead looking for their first win, and while it is only one win, 2-0 is still undefeated, so Brainerd looking to stay that way. As now that's passed up to Keikos. Keikos with like a crawl past the defender. He's going to move around another one. He's going to try to chip that forward, and that'll end up going a little bit too far for that striker along the side there. And that'll be a goal kick for Stengrim. Speaking of Stengrim, I haven't had to say his name that much in the past about 10-15 minutes, and that's because Brainerd has either controlled most of play or not let him see any action. So obviously Brainerd playing very aggressive right now. Is a well-placed shot by Moorhead will skip all the way down into Brainerd's defensive zone. And that'll be thrown in by Narlock, but that'll skip past his intended target. Or so I thought, as now that'll be McConkey passing up to Magazzini. He'll try to chip it around before that's booted out by a Moorhead defender. Now throwing it in will be Wakowiak. That's Narlock with it now. He's going to chip it up along the side. And out comes Vanette, preventing another striker from Brainerd attempting to get something out of it. That's keeping with it now as he'll boot it up into the air. Reading that will be Brainerd's McConkey before he tries to get that back. But a great play there by a Moorhead midi. We'll give the ball back to Brainerd. With it now is keeping to Hodney, back to over to Ahmed. With it now is Keikos. Keikos is going to hit a quick chip shot over to the left side. He's going to slow down play along the side there. Nice move, and a shot is just rolls a little bit weird off of his foot, and it'll miss the net entirely. As Stengrim, I may have spoke too soon, sees action again, his second time in about 2 minutes. As it'll be Wakowiak. It'll be passed up to Magazzini. Now be McConkey playing it now. Chipped over a defender, but a nice recovery there. And the Brainerd shot will be booted past the goal line of Jacob Vanette as he'll get a goal kick and pass it over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to chip it along to the left side before he'll send that back to Hodney. Hodney passes it back to Baumgartner. He's going to, in turn, pass it up the side there. It's going to bounce off the wall. Off of the Brainerd defender. And that'll bounce out. So Moorhead with a throw in here at about the 40-yard line of the football field. There's a nice play there by looks to be Keikos as he's streaking along there, showing off his speed. However, he'll be beat to it by Narlock. And Moorhead will boot that down for Hussein, who's trying to streak past the defender. And he will. He'll pass it back to Ahmed, back to Hussein. And Hussein looking for three, but no, just to the upper right of the net as he was looking for contact, but nothing came out of it. And you saw the disappointment as a great effort and a great play there as he managed to fake out any defender that thought he was going to pass and pulled it back and just ended up missing the shot. As that'll go off of a Brainerd laying player, that'll be Wakowiak. And now a throw-in by Keeping is going to again go off of a Brainerd player, and that's Narlock. Keeping again, just moving on down the line, staying for the throw-in. He'll throw it to Hussein. Before that's knocked away by Duff, but picked back up by Somain, who's going in, and a little chip shot. He tried to knock it over the goalie, but couldn't quite get it off the ground. And Stengrim lays on that one. And it stays at 3-1. Now Brainerd with an attempted play before Moorhead will knock that out and regroup. As now you saw there that was Klecker, and he is back in the game. So the trainer has given him the okay to continue in this game. And a couple of bounces, and eventually that'll be fielded at about midfield. Or I should say just a little bit before that. This now Moorhead's going to get a throw in off of a bounce off of a Brainerd attacker's head. As that throw in comes along the far side and tipped up forward. Intended for Keikos, but couldn't quite get it. Now a pass. It's going to be tapped back, and Klecker is going to get almost a pass, but it looked to be a shot at first, and that's going to be kept in by Narlock. Not Narlock. Wakowiak's going to use the defender and try to drive to the net, but that's not going to work. And now Vanette will be in his box, ready for a kick up to his forwards. As Hussein's going to come out of the game, and in comes Justin Stahlberger with 6:10 remaining in this game.
Entering the match for Moorhead, number 14,
Stahlberger's going to have that stolen by Duff, passed over to Wakowiak. Before that's going to be fielded away by Somain. That pass is going to be intercepted by Moorhead. Please see them playing a little bit more conservative here as they're taking their time with their passes and passing to the same people. And a shot's going to go in the air. And eventually Vanette will come down with it. As that looked to be Namook that was actually just in front of Vanette, ready to get in the way in case they did end up shooting it. Hodney's going to head that upfield. Just past Ahmed as an intended pass for him. Will end up going out of bounds, and Brainerd gets a throw in. Norlock throws that in to McConkey, but Hodney's going to take that away with the help of Keikos. Moving it up now is Somain. Somain. And a bounce off of a Brainerd defender will send it back up to Keeping. Keeping over to Hodney. Hodney's going to chip it forward. Just under Stahlberger's foot. That's going to be taken. Pass back to the middle. And a little bit of a soft pass in. Narlock's going to read that perfectly and break it up. And again, Narlock with another breakup. He's going to chip that forward, intended for McConkey, before that's taken away from him. And that'll be Somain chipping it up. And letting it roll was Wakowiak, as now Stengrim is going to get a goal kick. And the clock pauses at 4:15 left in the second half. Stengrim is going to chip it, but Ahmed's going to intercept that. That pass was intended for Wakowiak. Now that'll be Klecker trying to regroup. That'll end up going back to Stengrim. Stengrim is going to hit it all the way out. But again, Moorhead with some pretty good pressure, and they're taking away a couple of options. And Brainerd's going to have a pass go off of them. And along the far side, Moorhead will get a throw in. As that looks to be Funk throwing that in. And a play by Keikos there. And a read by Somain. Pass back to Keeping. Keeping back to Somain. Again to Keeping. Keeping over to Ahmed. Ahmed with a nice move, but that'll just skip away from him. And Brainerd gets a throw in. Klecker taken down there by Somain, and they'll get a shot, or rather a kick, at right between the 41 and the 42. If you'll notice there on the end, you can see Stengrim kind of walking up to about the top of his box. And he is about ready to streak up and give them an extra attacker if Brainerd will sustain heavy offense here with about 2:45 left in the half. Magazzini, his throw-in's going to go off of a Moorhead defender. He'll end up getting that back. A shot's going to be blocked. by Ahmed. And a boot back in will go off of Colborn's head. And in turn, that'll go off of about 3 different heads before it's eventually settled down. And Somain ends up with that. But a awkward pass will be recovered by Ahmed. It'll be passed to McConkey. McConkey tried to get that back, but Ahmed's going to take that one. He's going to chip it around. Stahlberger has it now. He'll skip just past him, and Ahmed will stick out his leg and prevent any pass from going upfield. Moved on forward as Moorhead will let that bounce out. Saw keeping along the sideline doing the same thing as Johnson did earlier in the first half and boxing out the defender and separating him from the ball. As now that's Carlson moving it up. Magazzini tried to hit Klecker along the side there, and it'll bounce all the way off of Moorhead. And now here comes Engelstad with the throw-in to Magazzini. Magazzini, and a little bit of contact there between the Moorhead defender. And Brainerd will end up with that. Chip back to the middle. Here comes Klecker. Klecker with a left shot. A pass. As it curved for Wakowiak, but he could not quite read that, and it'll bounce past him for a Vanette goal kick. Goalie kick. Is now he'll throw that over to Johnson, who instead will slide it over to Baumgartner and waste time and bring it under 1 minute remaining here in the half. And that's the strategy you'll probably see out of Moorhead here is they'll chip it near side, wait for pressure, and just tap it out of bounds. So that way they can waste time, and a whistle is blown as it's going to go off of a Brainerd hand, I believe. And that's chipped forward and read by a Brainerd defender, and he's going to move that up. Intended for Carlson, but he'll get that back, and Klecker with it now. Klecker moves it along his wing. Streaking up the field before that's knocked away by a Moorhead defender, and that brings us under 20 seconds left here. Great read there by a Moorhead defender, and a shot in. And Vanette not taking any chances with that one, because that brings us under 5 seconds here, and a goal kick will be skied in. And Moorhead with their first win of the season, defeating Brainerd 3-1 on your Northwest Blind scoreboard. Again, that's 3-1, and that was Hussein with 2 goals, one coming from Colborn, one coming from Alawi and Vanette, and then Hodney unassisted, although we could probably give it to Ahmed along the sideline there for the effort that he gave. Brainerd's only goal came from a penalty kick from Adam Klecker, and that brings us to our final score of 3-1. So on behalf of everybody here at Spuds TV, brought to you by Muscatel Subaru, I'm Carter Castoris, signing off.
Everybody drive home safe.